Welcome to FPL Selection. Today we'll take a look at how the team is shaping up for Game Week 25, but first a quick look at how we got on in Game Week 24. So 79 points after playing the bench boost, and a nice move up inside the top 250,000. I was debating the bench boost decision up to the deadline, as I was sort of really confident the Sunderland and Arsenal, would get the clean sheets. I thought Mane had a good chance of a return against Bournemouth. And Dubravka's normally good for sort of 2 or 3 points, and there was always a chance of a clean sheet there against Sunderland. So decided to go with it in the end on the single game week. Only ended up with 15 points, but I think it was a bit unlucky really. Mane had his goal disallowed and had quite a few chances in the game. It was a lot of chances of both sides against Bournemouth, which all their games seem to be at the moment. So yeah, not too disappointed though. I think sort of 16 is what you'd aim for in a double. Sort of 2 and 2 for each player, 4 points times 4, 16 points would be your minimum. So 15, I'm not going to complain with that. I like to get out of the way because then it just doesn't sort of affect any of my decisions for all the weeks sort of surrounding the doubles. I can sort of go for players that maybe going to blank or they're not doubling. Just gives me that flexibility. I think that in the past, I've found that I've sort of trapped myself into only picking certain players because they've got a double or because they're not going to blank in a certain week. So, yeah, went okay, sort of average score for that. Rest of the team, I had Defcon for Guehi, assist for Haaland, goal for Enzo, and then 2 assists for Bruno Fernandes, or captain. So, yeah, happy to get that right this week. So, all in all, a decent week, average bench boost, and no sort of big problems to deal with at the moment. 4 transfers in the bank. So, yeah, looking good promising for the sort of coming weeks. So, looking ahead now to Game Week 25. Again, no transfers planned for this week. I've got 4 in the bank, and I'm keen to sort of get up to the 5 next week. So, I might have to make sort of 2 or 3 to get the perfect 3 Arsenal picks. Obviously, at the moment, I've got Hincapie, who's not a guaranteed starter for both of their matches. So, yeah, I'll have a little look more into that closer to Game Week 26. So, yeah, it'd be nice to have the 5 in the bank. And, yeah, lots of things can happen from that point. So, yeah, be plenty of flexibility in that. Looking at the team for this week, Sanchez is away to Wolves. Wolves definitely playing a lot better. I think Rob Edwards has done a decent job there so far without sort of getting too many good results. Look much better. I don't think they're the worst team in the league, certainly on performances. Chelsea obviously had the cup game with Arsenal midweek. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a tough game, and I wouldn't be surprised if Wolves do score at least one. But I'm really hoping to get some clean sheets out of Chelsea on this nice little run they're on, the fixtures. So, yeah, every chance it could be a low-scoring game, but yeah, I'm just a bit worried about Chelsea at the moment. They don't look that solid under Rosinha. Maybe better going forwards, but certainly haven't shown any signs that they're going to be, a good defence. So, yeah, jury's out at the moment on them. And Guehi is away to Liverpool. Hard game to call this. I think, City can sort of make games tighter if they need to. Against the bigger sides, and maybe Liverpool will be more negative as well with City coming to Anfield. But yeah, really hard to call. This could be lots of goals. It could be no goals. I'm just sort of betting on Man City being one of the better sides in the league. Just playing a safer game. Maybe keep possession a little bit more, play on the counter-attack. Guehi's good for Defcon if Liverpool do sort of push forward a fair bit. But yeah, it's not really a lot in this. And to be honest, it's just better than playing Sunderland defence against Arsenal. So, yeah, not the best fixture here for Guehi, but the better fixtures are to come for City. So, yeah, happy to sit him in there and just, see what happens with this one. And Hincapie is at home to Sunderland. And I've got Gabriel to make up the double Arsenal defence. Obviously, as a fixture, Sunderland at home, you'd expect an Arsenal clean sheet here. Looking really solid at the moment. Since Gabriel's come back from injury, especially, they've tightened up again. Sunderland, obviously not the same team they are away from home as they are at home. Xhaka is still out at the moment, so yeah, I'd expect a comfortable Arsenal win. The only doubt here for me is whether Hincapie will start. He played in the full game against Chelsea in midweek, and they've got Calafiori back from injury now. They both sort of played 45 minutes in the Champions League before, so yeah, it's tricky. I think I'm just going to have to play him and see what happens, I think, and just try to get the decision right next week when the double comes round. But yeah, it would be handy if there was something clear in the team news and Arteta's press conference, but yeah, chances of that pretty slim. So yeah, I'd say he's more likely to start than Calafiori, but yeah, it's just too hard to call at the moment because they might see this as a good game to give Calafiori an hour and get him up to speed. But certainly as a fixture, yeah, you're obviously really happy to have the double defence. So yeah, most likely I'll just play Hincapie and yeah, just take whatever happens. Moving on to the midfield, Rodgers is away to Bournemouth. As I keep saying every week, at the moment, Bournemouth games, just lots of goals, are willing to go sort of blow for blow, attack. Should suit Rodgers really well, playing sort of on the transition. Yeah, he's been looking much better stats-wise in terms of his output. So, yeah, I'd be sort of expecting, at least an assist here from Rodgers, maybe a goal. But yeah, I just think there's going to be chances in the game for him, and yeah, as he always does, he tends to play the full match, and yeah, should be something coming his way you'd expect. And Rice is at home to Sunderland. As I said earlier, I think Sunderland playing away from home, not quite the same team, especially with Xhaka out injured as well. Rice has been a bit unlucky in the last few weeks. He's been creating a few chances, and he's certainly had a few chances of his own. So I'd expect him to get back to scoring some decent points. So yeah, he's going to sit in my team for a little while now. Obviously with the double next week, and yeah, I imagine he's going to start taking along again with a few points, a few blanks recently. But yeah, the reason we brought him in is for the long term, and yeah, keep seeing those sort of 3, 4, 5 points plod along, and yeah, it should add up over the weeks if we keep him in there long term. And Fernandes is at home to Spurs. Looks so good since he's been back from injury, Bruno, and obviously playing as a number 10 now under Carrick. He just doesn't need to do hardly anything, and he's scoring big points. He had the 2 assists last week, and yeah, he's just always going to be thereabouts. He gets chances to score almost every week. Just think it's a no-brainer captaincy this week. Spurs are decent, but you just never know what you're going to get from them, and I'd be very surprised if they could keep United out. And whenever United score, generally Bruno's involved. So yeah, I think it's an easy captaincy shout this week, and yeah, I think the majority will go with him. And Palmer is away at Wolves, and I've got the double Chelsea attack with Enzo. Again, as I mentioned earlier, I think it's going to be a tricky game away at Wolves. I think they're much better than the league position is showing. I think Palmer's going to start. I think that they are prioritising the league. Obviously, they're out of the League Cup now as well, so Palmer should get some decent minutes here, but I certainly won't captain him, and I think Enzo should get good minutes too. So I'm happy to have the double attack, but I just think, after a midweek game, Wolves should be high energy, you'd imagine. It's, maybe not going to be too many goals in this game, but yeah, we'll have to see. But hopefully we see a bit more Palmer, getting himself up to fitness and looking a bit more like himself, because it does seem like his groin injury is still sort of giving him problems. Moving on to the forwards, Haaland is away to Liverpool. Obviously not in great form at the moment, Haaland. I think he's only got like 1 goal in probably 6 or 7 games, is it? I think, in the league. So yeah, he'll be desperate to get on the score sheet away at Liverpool. Usually a tough game at Anfield, but Liverpool obviously haven't looked great defensively for a while. I know the stats look much better recently, but I still just, I'm not sure, especially if they've got Szoboszlai at right back and Gomez, or in there as well. Kirkaz I'm not that keen on. So yeah, you'd imagine he'll get some chances there, and wouldn't be surprised if he get a goal, but yeah, I don't think it's going to be enough there to captain him this week. I think it's probably a wait and watch on Haaland, really, and just take this fixture and move on. see what we get next week, I think, with him. Then Thiago is away to Newcastle. Obviously, a tricky game away at Newcastle. But, they had the midweek game against City, so Brentford will be fresh. They've had a whole week to prepare. Thiago's had a few blanks recently, but we know, when he does get the chances, he does tend to take them, and he gets, quite big scores when he does, tends to get his goals in, twos and threes. So, yeah, I wouldn't put it past him to get a return here. But, yeah, it's just part of a sort of not so good fixture run for Brentford, but I'm happy to see it through because they've got some good fixtures coming up from game week 27. So, yeah, he'll stay in there for me for now, and I'm not planning to move him on. Just going to have to ride it out, I think, and just see if he picks up little bits here and there over the next couple of weeks. So in summary, Bruno will almost certainly be my captain again this week. There's no real other sort of obvious candidates. Hincapie is obviously a bit of a problem, just been unsure at the start, so just going to have to keep an eye on the team news. I'll probably end up just playing him and put the decision off for next week if I need to, change him around for someone else. But yeah, I think it's something I'll just put off to next week. Find a way to get to Timber maybe. See what happens. That's it for this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.